I'd always wanted to go back to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And he never had any interest at all in going. No desire whatsoever. And I always wanted to go back. Totally changed his mind about going to Africa. Met the people, fell in love with the land and the people. And
Yeah.
so the next summer when we had the opportunity to go, I said, I'm going. You can come if you want, but I'm going. The people are just, they're really incredible because they have so little, but they have so much joy.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, but it just doesn't seem to be that big of a deal to us, quite honestly.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just afraid to go. They go, Africa, I'd be afraid to go there just because it's the unknown.
Most people, when they think of Africa, they think of South Africa,
Right.
Okay.
which is really well developed. And
Yes.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea. I think most people think that people throughout the world live like we live. They live in houses like what we have. Their lives are like our lives. And it's so they just don't even understand the challenges and the difficulties that third world countries have. They see remote villages, but then they just think that that's way out in the villages and that the people in the city just live like we do. And they just don't know.
Right.
But I don't know why they're afraid to go.
Yeah.
There are language barriers. Like
Okay.
where when we go to Central African Republic, we work at a seminary there, and they have a seminary. They have high school, junior high, primary school, and then preschool.
So it's
And they
so like there's 3,000 kids.
Yeah.
Okay. And
like 77 kids in a classroom
Right.
is average, and that's one of the smaller.
Right.
There's a waiting list to get into those.
So
schools.
they have 3,000 kids plus then the graduate type
Mm-hmm.
programs, which is the seminary, the theological seminary.
Okay.
And they have a
So-
women's school too
And then
Oh.
the school.
for the wives and women from the city are
And
coming.
Maryland typically works with the women's school
Yeah.
and the teen girls and
Right. So there is a language barrier. They speak French.
Mm-hmm.
That's the national language, but then the main language is Sango. And so within themselves, most of them don't speak French. They'll speak Sango or another language. And we can communicate, some of them can speak English. When I teach, I always have a translator.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is there is this bond with the women and the girls and the children. Even though we can't communicate on a real deep level, there's a strong love and a strong bond with them. One thing, their culture is very relationally based.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go there, Americans go there to work. We have this goal in mind. We're going to do this much.
Right.
We have to accomplish this.
Right.
And then the relationships come.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
With them, it's relationships first,
Right.
and the work together follows. But the most important thing is a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for us because we are so task-oriented and
Yes.
task-driven.
Time
And they're
driven.
not, they're people-driven.
Mm.
Their goal is relationships, and that just starts right from the beginning. And so I think that's part of the difference, is because you're building that relationship,
for
and all
me-
the rest follows.
For me, that's the biggest source of frustration because I'm very time oriented, task oriented.
Our lack of electricity
Yeah.
and lack of, this last time especially, the past 2 years, of water. We ran out of water sometimes. So
Yeah.
the electricity, this time we were without electricity more than we had electricity.
Right.
And so you think, oh, no big deals during the day, except that when it's 105 degrees, and you have no fans,
Right.
and there's no breeze, and it's just the hot African sun.
And being near the equator,
Mm-hmm.
it gets dark like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. So, yeah. So I mean, it's not uncommon for Marilyn and me to say, "Well, it's 6:30," so we crawl into bed and read.
Read. We have no electricity, so we have a little battery-operated fan
Mm-hmm.
that we put at the end of our bed under the mosquito netting, and we read. But I think that's part of it, because you plan something like with the women or the teen girls, and then we don't have electricity. And so I think that wears on you after a while, when you're just so hot all the time you can't relieve. And then this time, a couple of times for whatever reason, the city shut the water off or whatever, but we didn't have water. And we keep water in buckets, but we ran really low.
Mm-hmm.
And, you need water to wash your clothes, and you need water to cook with, and you need water to drink and bathe. And
Yeah.
we're taking bucket baths and you run out of water. And one night we went to all the different little spigots and wells on campus, and it was totally dry.
Right.
There was nothing. And this young guy, Joel, the guy that translates for me, he took our buckets and ran outside of our compound looking for water for us and came
Never
back
did.
with no water.
Yeah.
He felt really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that this young kid was willing to go out and look for water for us. And then a neighbor had some water, and he brought it over for us, but he had a big family. We went, no, we're fine.
Right.
What the little they have, they're willing to share. It's real community life there.
Mhm.
They live life together every day. They live life outside. They're outside cooking together and washing clothes together and talking and living together. That's just, the women all go to the market together. They cook outside over either little charcoal ovens or just fires. They don't cook inside. And they're all out there cooking, at night in the dark and talking and sharing and just living life together.
So you take a look and you say, well, how do these people survive? Well, then they have the large markets, the local type markets that the folks will go shop at. But yeah, my foreman, they'll get maybe $6 a day. So my thoughts of missionaries were, they showed boring slides and they wore funny clothes, But
And I think for me,
but now I are one,
for me, when
Now I wear funny clothes.
he doesn't wear funny clothes. For me, when we came back to the U.S. after living in Africa, I had a really hard time as a child, just because I felt like we were classified, like you live here, you are this, you are that, and I really struggled at first, but then I got really used to American life, and it was no big deal. When we went back the first time in 2002, when I came back, and I saw such extreme poverty there, and then how we have, comparatively speaking, so much more. I was ready to sell everything we have and live like that, but that's not what I'm called. God didn't call me to do that. But I think what I've learned over the years is just to appreciate what we have, try to determine your difference between your wants and your needs. And I think what I learned over there, and they have to remind me all the time, is I don't ever hear them complain. The night before we left this last time, I walked around and people are outside sleeping on the ground or on mats on the ground because it's too hot to sleep inside, but then you're being bit up by mosquitoes and you get malaria. But kids are out there sleeping, adults are out there sleeping, they're sitting out around fires talking or singing. One family was in their house and they were all singing. It was beautiful. And when you talk to them, they're grateful for another day to be alive. And so I think they teach me, and I have to be reminded all the time, just to be grateful for what I do have. The thing I struggle with is you become overwhelmed with the needs that you see around you. And it can really get you down and you want to help everybody and you can't.
You don't want to become
An enabler.
an enabler, if
Right.
you will.
You don't want to base your friendship on what you can
Do for
bring
them.
to them materialistically.
Right.
That's not how you want your relationship based on
Right.
common love and respect, not, oh, here come the Americans, what have they bought us this time?
Yeah.
We love to go. It's like our second home. They're our family, and we love being over there. We're always grateful to come back home too. It's really bittersweet for me when I leave because I'm ready to come home. I've missed my family. I've missed my grandkids. I've missed being able to just walk in and turn a light on. And
Yeah.
and the convenience is my washing machine I miss
Yeah.
tremendously. And a variety of food. But I always have a really hard time leaving because I don't want to say goodbye,
Yeah.
Life is different, but it's life.
Yeah.
They go to work, they eat, they
Right.
clean their house, they wash their... life, it's the same life, it's just lived differently.
You just, you have to be sensitive to their needs, to what they can afford, to what their lifestyle is and has been, and and then you work within those bounds.
Our way isn't necessarily right and their way wrong, and
Right.
their way isn't necessarily right and our way wrong. It's just different cultures, and you learn from each other. You learn
Right.
the good and the bad, and
Yeah.
you
Sure.
can take different things from the different cultures and try to mesh that in with your life. But you can't go to another culture and expect them to become westernized or live like we live. It's just
Right.
if it's not right for them, it's just not how they do it. Doesn't mean they have to do it our way. It doesn't mean
Right.
we have to do it their way. You learn so much about the different cultures from the people, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it really enhances your life when you learn that.